order and the Newton County Commissioners.
A scorcher of an afternoon. We're going to have heat indices that'll reach triple digits easily. The latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And a look at how rising interest rates are affecting the nation's housing market.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
A death investigation is underway in Fort Scott, Kansas. This is KOAM News at noon. I'm Tanya Bach. Topping our first 7 minutes, authorities discover a body at Gunn Park. According to the Fort Scott police, the report came Thursday morning about a possible deceased person at the park. First responders from the Fort Scott Police and Fire, Bourbon County Sheriff's Office, and EMS responded. They found a person at the northern end of the park near the river. Police are not yet releasing the name of the victim. A judgment is entered in a restraining order case the Newton County Treasurer and Recorder filed against the Newton County Commissioners. The case was originally filed in 2020. The injunction says the commission ordered the Recorder and Treasurer to switch to a new IT provider picked by the commission. But the Treasurer and Recorder claimed as independent offices they were not required to do so. Now a judge has ruled in the case. KOAM's Bronte Sorotsky has more.
On June 24, 2020, Newton County Commissioners sent an email restricting Keel's consulting services, an IT provider, from entering any Newton County building and performing IT work on any county computers. Originally, a restraining order was filed by the Newton County Recorder's Office and Treasurer's Office against the county commissioners. A written contract was executed by the commissioners with Stronghold Data to provide IT and telephone service for Newton County for 2020. The county's recorder and treasurer did not agree to be part of the contract with Stronghold Data. Both offices continue to use Keel's as their IT provider, the one restricted from entering the building. The injunction alleged the recorder and treasurer switched to a new IT provider picked by the commissioners. On Tuesday, a judge ruled the plaintiffs, county recorder and treasurer can hire their own IT experts. The judge also denied the recorder and treasurer's request to forbid county commissioners from entering into their offices. Finally, the recorder and treasurer's attorney fees are to be paid from general revenue from the Newton County Treasury and will be taxed against the county commissioners.
You can find more information on this case on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Industry officials say thousands of cattle in feedlots in southwest Kansas are dying of heat stress due to soaring temperatures, high humidity, and little wind in recent days. The final toll remains unclear, but as of Thursday, at least 2,000 heat-related deaths had been reported to the Kansas Department of Health and Environment. That number could rise as more losses from this week's heat wave are reported. The cattle deaths have sparked unsubstantiated rumors on social media that something besides the weather was at play. But Kansas ag officials say no other cause is evident. Well, we have been breaking records in the heat department lately. It's dangerous. Okay, so that's 3 times this week that we broke those records. Honestly, nobody's had a chance to cool down, even during the night. We haven't got there as far as our daily highs go. It's been our overnight lows where we keep on breaking those records, because normally this time of year we drop down to about 66 degrees for an overnight low, but here we are. We've been constantly in the mid to high 70s overnight. Also too, do want to point out, even though it's been so dry here for the past 2 weeks, as far as our yearly precipitation goes, we're still 6.5 inches above normal for this time of year. There we are outside of Television City as our temperatures are 89 in Joplin, 91 already in Chanute, 86 in Monette, and 87 in Joplin. Now, we did get a break at least a little bit from our humidity compared to what we had earlier this morning. It was, I tell you what, you walked outside this morning, just about felt like you were walking through it. So even though it's dropped down to, say about in the 50, 60 percentile right there, still is causing a little bit of a factor as far as our heat index readings. 97 is where we're topping out in Lamar, 98 right now in Veneta. Look at the 97s as well in Neodesha and in Independence. Cloud cover, that is a thing of the past. It was almost an overcast start to today, but no precipitation to speak of now that the storms up to our north have dispatched themselves on the other side of the Mississippi River. Coming up here in just a little bit, Tanya, we'll walk through our not only heat advisories, we even have some extreme heat watches that are starting to pop up in our highlighted counties.
And expiration times, how about next week?
Oh my goodness.
Yep.
That's definitely not good news. All right, thanks, Michael. Well, growing worries about the economy are hitting stocks and the housing market hard. The Dow Jones Industrial Average fell below 30,000 yesterday for the first time in 17 months. The S&P 500 and NASDAQ also dropped. And with the Fed raising interest rates again, average long-term mortgage rates saw their biggest one-week jump in 35 years. Chris Van Cleve shows us how that affects the once red-hot housing market.
Cheryl Leslie is house hunting in Fort Worth, Texas, hoping to move closer to her grandkids.
This is cute. So I'm looking now so that when the prices come down just a tad, I'll be able to know exactly what I need and what I want and where to go.
But as interest rates surge past 6%, hitting their highest point since 2008, an estimated 18 million households who would have qualified for a mortgage in January are essentially frozen out of the market, no longer eligible for that loan. And those who can still afford to buy, a typical new mortgage payment has spiked 52% over the last 6 months.
The market's going to change dramatically.
Mark Zandi is Moody Analytics chief economist.
We will see house price growth level off here, and we'll see some price declines in some of the more juiced up markets across the country, particularly. And in my mind, that's a correction when house prices start to go lower.
Mortgage applications are down more than 15% compared to 2021, dropping 5% in May alone. That's prompting nearly 1 in 5 sellers to drop their price. This week, realty company Redfin announced it would cut hundreds of jobs because of the slowing housing market.
The housing market is in a downturn right now. It's cyclical, and it just doesn't support the number of employees we had before.
This home in Arlington, Texas has been on the market for 28 days, not selling even after the price was dropped. Only a few people came to the open house.
6-bedroom, 5.5. It's 40 to 82 square feet.
Realtor Tina Yason says that's a marked change.
This home, I imagine that 6 months ago would have sold
Very quickly.
like would not have been on the market 2 weeks later.
No.
There remains more demand than supply for homes, so you can't really call this a buyer's market just yet. But there are signs of cooling nationwide. Here in St. Louis, pending home sales in May were down nearly 10% compared to last May. Chris Van Cleve, CBS News, St. Louis.
That's a look at today's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Up next on KOAM News at noon, a Ghostbusters superfan is treated to an action-packed day of hunting ghosts, why the experience is more than just a dream come true for this 8-year-old. And later, we're making an old-time hot dog sauce in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. An 8-year-old boy from England, born with a rare heart condition, knew just who to call to make his dream come true. And as CBS's Tina Krause reports, the Ghostbusters superfan had quite an adventure.
Word spread quickly in northern England.
What is happening?
British police needed backup.
Senior Ghostbuster Cadet George.
And 8-year-old George Hinks was just the man for a ghost-busting mission.
If there's something strange in your neighborhood, who you gonna call? Ghostbusters!
George raced off in the film's famous Ecto-1 vehicle, hot on the trail of his lifelong dream.
We're gonna get busted!
George always wished he could be a Ghostbuster. Born with half a working heart, he can't do everything his friends do.
When I first watched Ghostbusters the film, it turned my whole entire life upside down and it made it completely happy.
The films helped him face his fears through 3 open-heart surgeries.
Ready?
Now, one of the original Ghostbusters, Dan Aykroyd, is swearing George in for his dream battle.
And to trap and report ghosts wherever they are bothering living human beings.
This time, ghosts were haunting a local library after the UK's Make-A-Wish Foundation gave it a spooky makeover. And just like in the movies, with their proton packs and wands, they got them.
It just means to me that I could do anything and nothing's out of my reach.
We've got one!
Yeah. And with that lesson learned, mission accomplished. Tina Krause, CBS News, London.
All right, I know who to call now. After his ghost-busting mission, George took the famous Ecto-1 vehicle to the Children's Hospital where he receives treatment. He said he wanted other patients to share in his happiness. Still to come on the KOAM News at Noon, Mr. Food.
Fasten your seatbelt as we take a quick trip around the country in search of the perfect hot dog. What's your favorite?
But first, Michael Hayslip returns with your complete forecast.
A little bit deceiving because right now we do have a whole lot of heat index readings that are up to triple digits. Go back to yesterday and we actually did, but here's the weird thing. This will actually end up being the hottest day of the week by the time we get to this afternoon. We'll throw up some 96, 97s on the actual temperature itself. Here we are over 7th and Rangeline in Joplin. A 10-degree difference between the temperature and what it feels like right now. 89 actually on the mercury, but the heat index reading 99 degrees, humidity sitting at 63%. And it really is the humidity for the most part. It's not so much the wind that we had earlier this week. It's the humidity that's taking over. High point right now, excuse me, is going to be 91 in Chanute, followed by a 90 up in Yates Center. And we'll kind of go through why it's warmer up to the northwest than what we're seeing south of I-44, 87 in both Neosho and in Anderson. As the wind still does come in from the south, we're able to keep it in between just 5 and 10 miles for most of today. But what we are seeing right now, heat index readings, high 90s, still waiting on that first place to get to 100. And I don't know if we'll break that here before the end of the news at noon, but by the time we get to say 3, 4 o'clock this afternoon, we'll be talking about 103 to 105. Skywatch Storm Tracker looking very, very clear overnight. High thunderstorm activity range from Kansas City all the way to St. Louis. That has now made its way all the way into Kentucky, but when it did roll through, we had multiple storm reports that included winds up to 70 miles per hour along I-70. Those are all the storm report icons that you see, limbs down, and multiple reports of roof damage to structures all through the I-70 area. Now we have our heat advisories lasting all the way into Friday night. And up here to the northwest, that's where we talked about where those hotter temperatures are. Those are excessive heat watches. And you'll notice the expiration time on those all the way through Father's Day weekend. Those actually do not expire until 7 o'clock. As we look at the heat wave right now, all the way from the Canadian border right down through us, and then takes a little southeasterly turn down to the Gulf of Mexico and actually pushes off all the way to the Atlantic coast right there along South Carolina and North Carolina as well, kind of backing off throughout the Ohio River Valley and also to the northeastern portion of the United States because they were setting records just like we were just about each and every day. Now we transition from our watches, warnings, and advisories to the severe thunderstorm risk map. You'll see the elevated area that ranges in portions of Kentucky all the way through West Virginia and Virginia right there. But we carved out just a perfect little niche. We got the thunderstorm activity that goes down to our southeast, and then we see the low category off to our northwest as well. But a high pressure system running really from east of the Rockies all the way to about central Missouri, and then north and south from Canada all the way down to South Texas is going to keep us in the clear with plenty of blue sky. And the ridge of the jet stream, my goodness, look how elevated this thing has been. What that means is for big sky country and the upper plains, oppressive heat for them as well. That will also take its toll on the livestock industry. As Tanya told us earlier, some 2,000 head of cattle already dying and being blamed on hot weather in the state of Kansas alone. Our weather trend for today, up into the mid-90s. You'll notice future track for Friday going to stay dry. Let's push into Saturday here and watch the right-hand side of your screen because we do get a little bit of precipitation that kind of just generates right over us. It is going to be spotty, nothing severe, but that will really be for Saturday afternoon and evening. Father's Day, we're going to clear off. Everything is going to be absolutely gorgeous to enjoy your time with Dad and then get ready for next week as we've been warning. The beginning of next week, warmer daily highs on the average than even what we started this week with.
All right, well, some like it hot. They're in for it, that's for sure.
If you enjoy that kind of thing, this is your kind of weather.
For sure. Be safe out there, though. Thanks, Michael. We take this time to honor today's four-state hero, Master Sergeant Charles Sluter in the U.S. Army. The Girard, Kansas native joined the 1st Battalion, 77th Field Artillery in 1970. He earned 2 Bronze Stars and 2 Army Commendation Medals while fighting in Vietnam. To Master Sergeant Charles Sluter, we thank you, our four-state hero. Spruce up your hot dogs with a savory topping that's really yummy and comes together in no time. Howard shows us how to make old-time hot dog sauce in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
We're a nation that loves hot dogs, and each part of the country has their own unique way of making them. So let me share with you what you'll find if you visit cities that think their dogs are top dogs. For example, in Chicago, they grill their hot dogs before topping them with mustard, relish, onions, pickle slices, sport peppers, tomato, and celery salt, and serving them on a poppy seed bun. And in New York City, which has a hot dog cart on almost every corner, you'll find hot dogs topped with spicy mustard and covered in onion sauce. For those of you who grab a hot dog at an Atlanta Braves game, you can expect to find a steamed dog smothered with mounds of coleslaw. And besides all these regional favorites, we came up with a hot dog topper that's always welcome. It's a hearty meat sauce made by sauteing ground beef and onions along with a boatload of seasonings. And when you serve it on your dog, get ready for some all-American eating. I do hope you'll go online and get the recipe for our old-time hot dog sauce, along with our city guide to hot dogs. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a tasty topping way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
You can find this recipe along with a lot more good food from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen online. All you have to do is go to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Here's a look at our 4-state market prices.
Fort Scott and Nowata tried to get there before we closed out the KOAM News at Noon, sitting at 99 degrees already. Don't worry, Tanya and Dow. Everybody's going to be up around 103 to 105 this afternoon.
You think we're rooting for triple digits?
No, well, no, you got to turn it into somewhat of a game, though.
Are you talking about the heat index or the actual temperatures?
That's heat index. That's heat index.
Oh, wow. That's
yes,
all
I mean,
right?
actual temperatures are like 95.
Oh, yeah, we can practically tolerate that.
What do we have coming up tonight at 5?
A whole lot at 5. Parents are still scrambling to find baby formula. FDA officials are headed to Sturgis, Michigan today to help Abbott Nutrition after recent flooding closed its plant. Today, more baby formula shipments from overseas are expected to arrive in the U.S. Plus, Crowder College announces a new partnership with McDonald County Schools to help advance students' learning. And the Kansas governor makes a stop in Montgomery County for the groundbreaking for a $375 million soybean facility. Hope you join us for those stories, a lot more. KOAM News at 5.
All right, thank you, Dow. Thanks for joining us for KOAM News at Noon. We'll see you right back here at 5 o'clock.